The session's called Tealium as the context engine for AI. Let me introduce what we'll cover today. I'm going to do a quick review of the intelligence gap, sort of where we are in the market. And then Vodafone will share an actual use case and decisions. And then we will jump into Moments API, MCP, and a demo, followed by our outbound AI connectors and where we sit in the ecosystem, and another demo. So please get questions, and we're happy to answer them. That's me. Okay, so the intelligence gap. So like any good engineer, we got to start with the problem before we discover a solution, right? So let's talk about 2026. The word is adoption. We have seen it completely become crazy in probably the last month or two, especially if you're keeping up with the trends and what's happening right now. So what does that mean? 88% of CDOs will increase their budget by 2026. 81% of those are prioritizing investments to accelerate AI capabilities and initiatives. So what does that mean? It's not an experiment anymore, right? Companies are actually paying for massive amount of operations, right? So this is a full operational function of your business now that tons of funding is going to. What's not working though? So 95% of generative AI pilots fail. That's an interesting one. I want you to concentrate on the second one here. 60%. 60% of AI projects fail. A lot of that is due to the fact that all the technology's there, everything is built out, but what we have is a deployment to production problem, right? You got teams that are building all these cool tools and everything, but there's no way to access them, there's no way to activate them, there's no downstream funnel to get, any of the information that you're building back. So a lot of these millions of dollars end up sitting there in your data warehouse, and they're running compute with maybe an analytics dashboard, but are you actually getting down to a chatbot, an agent, or a personalization engine? Not many customers are doing that. And it's very hard to do this at the enterprise level, especially because there's so many teams, so many different use cases. This is where the AI accelerator comes in, drilling down on those use cases, right? Next one, 42% companies abandon. So that's kind of taking the 60%, moving it down. They abandoned mainly because they sat on and spent all this money on something that didn't actually create ROI, right? What's the whole point of doing this if you're not going to get any return on your investment when things are this expensive? And 87% of those fail. So not really an AI problem given the technology that we have, but it's a massive supply chain problem, right? It's getting data from point A to B and then back to point A so it can reason and understand it, right? These are all different inference points. So the usual symptoms. The agent greets a 10-year customer. That's great, right? They're greeting your 10-year customer. Now, without that context of their lifetime value or something like that, they could be talking to your customer and not have that reference, right? So they're not going to give them the right discount. They're not going to give them the right sort of conversational back and forth. This customer right here could have a $50,000 lifetime value over 10 years, and your AI chatbot is talking to this customer and has no clue, right? It's not going to get the next best action. It's not going to personalize it. So that leads us to the chatbot. It can reason, right? So it can reason very well, but what if it didn't know that that customer that it's talking to had a ticket open, right, for a complaint or something that was dealing with, right? So we're pulling information from all over the place and accumulating it into a massive context engine. Data scientists, a lot of them have spent all this time data wrangling and doing reverse ETL, right? It's moving things around and it's very expensive. Data scientists are also very expensive members of your team. So if you don't get ROI or even ROAS as far as in advertising, right, and you can't activate on those things, your data scientists are basically just an expensive part of your business. And that's where you kind of need to help them as marketers as well, because now with Tealium in our engine, we can actually get to the activation point and they can get that context back into the models they spent all this money on. And to add to that, it's because of the real-time value that we also provide that you don't have to sit on this 6-hour-old propensity score. We're talking about pulling in the scores that you need right now through functions, runtime, real quick, 100 milliseconds, and that can go immediately to your personalization engine. So the brain of the jar problem, I know this all sounds like I'm just talking about a lot of problems, but I promise we'll get to an actual solution. 3 things are typically missing, right? No memory. So What's that like, right? You're going to talk to it's got to be frustrating for a customer if you're a customer and you're on a site or you're interacting with something and it doesn't remember who you are. And let's think about it. It could be an airline. It could be a retail store. It's something that your very important customers spend a lot of money on, and your chatbot has no idea who it is. No tools. You can't really create a next best action or a personalization engine without a tool. And so basically, what that'll lead into is what Ava will present, which is our MCP server, right? MCP servers expose all the tools available that you can build on and create all these different pieces that build your AI stack. And then no context, which I'm sure everyone's tired of hearing that word at this point, but it is a massive part of everything that involves machine learning and artificial intelligence, right? Because if it can't learn from outcomes, and in our example of Tealium, right, it's the activation outcome, how successful were those things? We're feeding them back into your agents or your models, right? So if they don't actually have progressive learnings, you're not really doing much, right? You're sitting stagnant. So most clients and customers we've seen are at least missing one of these things where we kind of fill in the gap. But there are a lot of enterprise customers that are missing all three in this world because it's big organizations unsure of the future. So what does this look like in Tealium? So there are three layers, right? There's the data layer. And I'm sure you hear about this all the time with Tealium, right? The data layer is a super important piece of the puzzle. It's all these systems that are contributing to the raw data, right? So every event, every person interacting on your site. Then there's the semantic layer. What customer data means, right? This is more of the connection to your data warehouse and all of your historical knowledge kind of coming together. And then the context layer. Right, so that's multiple tools adding context. It could be our MCP server. It could be our outbound Bedrock connectors. It's anywhere in the ecosystem that we are able to hook up all of this incredible data that Tealium can collect in real time to power all of these different layers. And this is what it kind of looks like. We have it split out into sort of 4 groups here as a context engine. So traditional machine learning pipelines built on your cloud data warehouses, your Databricks, your Snowflakes, AWS. These are massive models with millions and millions of dollars put into them, popping up propensity scores, churn risk, and those things. We can pull those into Tealium immediately and activate on them based on using Tealium functions. So, and because it's JavaScript, it runs like that. Then feeds your downstream things, right? So agents, real-time inference, right? If your agent can get all of the context it needs within that time to operationalize, it will be able to help your customer. The bounce rate right now on websites and things like that is crazy because there's a lot of chatbots out there and a lot of annoying little widgets and 15% offs, and customers don't want to be bombarded with stuff, right? And that'll lead them to actually not going to your site and probably just go chat to an LLM and be like, hey, you do the shopping for me because it's kind of annoying to go to your site. So you want to be very prescriptive. That also applies to generative AI, right? So if you're going to hit someone with a 15% off, or this is what you should do, or why did you abandon your cart? So we're going to send you an email, right? That doesn't work without context, right? You're going to be generating something that really doesn't matter to anyone, and so on. And then there's mobile AI. Definitely check that one out at the Genius Bar. I personally think it's really cool. We talk about compute all the time and how expensive it's getting and just in all these different variables, and it's kind of crazy that there is a product, an AI SDK, where you can run compute on the phone chips that you have in your phone, right? So we're literally running local compute and burning through power on your local devices.
Okay, hello. We are really happy today here to present you some AI use cases of Vodafone and how we enable AI at Vodafone. But before we start with that, of course, we would like to introduce ourselves. So I am Laura Glende, product owner of CDP, and I joined Vodafone at 2020 together with Corona almost as a software developer for backend development for the online shop. And during my journey at Vodafone, I came to the CDP squad. I live in Düsseldorf together with my daughter and my husband. I'm originally from Berlin, where still is my heart, but now I'm in Düsseldorf for working reasons, of course. And in the CDP squad, where I'm the product owner, we are really special. We have a really special setup. So we have really different people from different areas, like from digital, from customer value management, from IT. So this is a really cross-functional team, and this helps you a lot to make the best out of the CDP for Vodafone. And one of our members in the squad is Jeroen, and so he can introduce himself as well.
Yes, hi, Jeroen Jasper. Yes, my name sounds Dutch. It is. I'm Dutch, and working already 14 years at Vodafone in Germany. So speaking English, working in a German company, living in the Netherlands still with wife and kids, and at Vodafone all 14 years working in data enablement, data activation, and the last years really about working with a CDP, and due to the fast learning of AI, really working also now in activating on towards AI era. And that we want to present to you today, what we've done. But first,
we also would like to know, to let you know Vodafone a bit better. We think most of you know Vodafone, heard about it at least. And we would like to test how you really know Vodafone, and that's why we would like to do a little quiz with you. We even have a prize for the winner, so maybe that motivates you to take or to participate. Yeah, thank you. So we just give you a bit of time to join. So you can also use a nickname if you don't want to tell us your name. Oh, Jeroen, are you with us? There's also Jeroen.
there's another Jeroen. No. No, otherwise I would run the prize, so that's not fair.
So it's about the right answer, but also about the speed. So you have no chance to ask AI for the answers if you want to win, because it's also about the speed.
And compliments to the room. You beat the first session because we are
with the
about
first session, 45.
Yes, let's start.
Okay, looks like everyone is here. Then let's start with the first question. Did it do something? No. So, what does Vodafone stand for? Is it voice digital phone? Is it voice data phone? Is it voice data fiber optic network equipment? Or is it voice digital fiber optic network equipment? So you have 20 seconds left. We can see how many people already answered, so we can stop it earlier.
And the winner is the one that has all 3 questions right.
Yeah,
and
I
of
said
course,
already. Yeah.
the fastest. So don't wait until the question is asked.
So 5 seconds left, and one person has last chance. Okay. So we have, that's really this is almost the same. So we have 36 with voice data phone and 34 with voice data fiber optic network. Let's check which is the right answer. So it's voice data phone. All right, let's jump to the next question. Which of these is not something Vodafone works on? Is it mobile and fixed connectivity? Is it IoT and digital platforms? Is it cloud and enterprise solutions? Or is it energy and electricity? Again, almost 20 seconds left, and 56. Huh? Mobile and fixed connectivity.
Stop doing that.
I have 2 people left. Oh, one person again. Maybe just one person missed but we waited 3 seconds. So. All right. You see already the answer? Yeah, 93 persons are for energy and electricity. I think that was the easiest one, and of course it's energy and electricity. And our last question, I think this is the toughest one, is in which parts of the world does Vodafone operate? Is it Europe, Africa, Australia? Is it America, Europe, Asia? Is it Antarctica, Europe, Africa, Asia? Or is it Europe, Africa, Asia? And the 20 seconds are running. That's the most difficult one, yeah. Okay, again the one person. So let's wait the last seconds. So most of you said it's America, Europe, Asia with 35%, but it's Europe, Africa, Asia. So then let's check on the final board. Nick disqualified. One. Okay, and then FYB. Okay. And MW, who's that? Okay, then
You're the right winner.
can you get the present.
Turn it back.
Okay, and then hand over to you.
Yes, now you know a little bit about Vodafone. Let's get Vodafone known about what we do with AI. Therefore this slide, and this slide shows, if you see here, this is what most of you working with a CDP know what a CDP does. It collects data, it transforms data, and it activates data in multiple channels, multiple connectors. I don't even know how many connectors there are, but it is many, many, many. And this is what we do for the last 4 years. So trying within our ecosystem of the digital department, so our web and app, collect, transform, and activate. But now coming within the era of AI, we see that there is one step further. And if I click on this on the clicker, you see that we see that in Vodafone, and there was a question in the first round already, and there I said it also, we can't solve our organizational side. So we see that AI is everywhere at Vodafone. We are a huge company, large company, so everyone thinks they want to do AI. And we see that have 3 different parts where we already activating and trying to get the digital data into those agentic AI engines and AI models, so that there we get more out of data from together with the CDP from Tealium. One is agentic CVM. CVM is the abbreviation for customer value management. It's existing customers getting the best offer at the right time, at the right moment. Agentic MarTech, it is going beyond the classical analytical tools towards something custom built for yourself that we can really work with. And the last one is AI walled gardens. Yeah, we can't go around Google, Facebook, Meta, or Amazon. They will exist, they will keep existing. So also there, they want their AI to be powered with our data. Stepping 1, 2 in the 3 different ones. We call it no brain, no agents. And that's particularly what we say about going away from large analytical systems towards own custom-built applications that drive on all the data that we send from the digital channels directly in our cloud systems. And based on that, create really insights, and create agents that create insights. And but at the end, still keep control of what happens there, and use it then for making the best for Vodafone. That's one of the ways where we activate AI. The second one is where we see that our customer value management and our customer systems that have already a lot of data about customers. We see that digital data is really an added value. So also they are getting predictive, going away from generic to predictive with the best offer at the best time at the best moment. And it can be triggered by digital data. So example is someone is on the website, has seen a mobile phone, comes to the shop, then it is good to know that the agent in the shop already knows what he has seen online. So driving all that data into the customer models for the single purpose of no one leaves. We want to keep the customers alive because that's our biggest asset as Vodafone. And third is what I just briefly said already, but here deeper is walled gardens have a big value for companies like Vodafone. There's a lot of money going into advertising on those platforms, but also the data needs to go there because the money best spent is with a lot of data, and therefore sending the data to the different silos and the different walled gardens. You need to do it because they won't give us the data; they want our data, and that won't change. So you need to keep investing there. And these are the three ways that we currently have. We see definitely, because Vodafone is large, there are definitely other AI initiatives going on, that there will be more where we, with the Tealium CDP, dive data towards their AI clouds and AI environments. But to go to more practical examples, what we already done with AI and doing with AI and doing with data, I give the clicker to Laura.
So yes, I'm responsible for the QR codes today. So we go now more in the practice and brought you some use cases we have at Vodafone. The first use case is no AI use case, but it's one of our core use cases, how we use Tealium at Vodafone. And therefore, I would like to invite you to scan this QR code. And if you then if you open the URL, it's really important to accept the cookies, otherwise it doesn't work. And if you did so, you should come to a Vodafone page. I just give you the chance. Okay, and then now you should click on the Vodafone logo on the top, you could see, and then you should be forwarded to the Vodafone.de. And if everything works and you accepted the cookies, you should see now a banner which welcomes you to a showcase, which should look like this. Okay, for some it worked at least, for some it doesn't work. That's a good sign. If it's not working, there could be different reasons. For example, it could be that you didn't accept the cookies, but it could also be that there is another campaign which is more important for you, which we prioritized for you, so you see another campaign. There are a lot of reasons why this could not work, but that shows how we work in our core business with Tealium. So we tracked that you have been on the page and you've got now a banner because we know that you came back to our page. But let's jump to our AI cases. So this AI case has the goal, make Toby more intelligent. So who's Toby? Toby is our chatbot on Vodafone.de. And Toby tries to help with a lot of questions the customer or the non-customer could have. And what we try, of course, with Tealium is to make him more intelligent so that we feed him with more data. Toby in future will be on GenAI, so there's a huge project that Toby will be on GenAI, but also our data will help him to help our customers better. So how does he do that? How did we do it? So first we connected Toby with a CDP. That's a foundation that we can use, of course, the data. And then the first use case we have now in place is that we tell Toby if someone has a login. So if someone has logged in the past, we know this in Tealium, we track this, and then we send this information to Toby. And if this person is coming back to our Vodafone.de, and Toby knows, okay, this person has a login, and asks him to log in. And this you can also see here. It's unfortunately in German because Toby is just German because it's on Vodafone.de. But here the person is coming to our Vodafone.de, is asking him for help, and then he says, hey, please could you log in so I can help you much better. And this is because of our data. But of course, it's just the beginning. So there can be a lot of data we can provide to Toby. For example, if someone was searching for a move page, so Toby knows, okay, this person wants to move probably in future, then he can help him much faster because he knows, okay, this person really needs help with move, or he already visited the move page, so I don't need to suggest him again this move page, for example. But also the other way around, we will use the data out of Toby for campaigns, for example, in future. So it's not just that we make Toby smarter, but also Toby makes our online marketing smarter in future. A second case is our propensity to buy score. So some of you maybe who joined OMR already heard about it, where Jeroen presented about a score. So we have a score at Vodafone which calculates the likelihood that someone wants to buy something. So the person comes on our product page, for example, and the likelihood increases directly that he wants to buy something. But then he goes to the service page Of course, on the service page, he probably searches for help and doesn't want to write something, so it decreases again. Then he goes back to the product page, it increases, and of course, on the conversion page, there's a chance of 100% that the person wants to buy something. In this model, there's a lot of data which calculates the score, and we had in the end really 67% of conversions 1 hour in advance predicted correctly. So we were really successful with this. And of course, when you have a score, you also need a use case for this. And our first use case was that we have on Vodafone.de a sales hotline. So it's really unique for everyone who is coming to this page. And this sales hotline, we tell how much is the propensity to buy score for this person. So everyone who has a really high propensity score, he will get routed more fast to our sales agent, and so we could increase our sales at this hotline. But of course, we want to use it for other use cases as well. We have it already live for our social media campaigns for Facebook, for example. So we show the banners to persons who are really likely to buy something, so we can increase much the conversion rate. And we have also a lot of ideas how we can use the score in future. And the last use case I present to you is our churn score. So we would like to identify who will cancel soon the contract. We have a department, it's a customer value management department. There we have data scientists. They develop a lot of scores in the AI context. And we want to start with the churn score. Therefore, we need to connect to the GCP. That's why it's our starting use case as well. And they have already this churn score with one or more than 100 behavior and contextual signals, which can be like, of course, the contract ends soon, or the age of the person, or the person complained somewhere about our products, and they calculate this churn score already, and because of that, they have win-back campaigns. But what they miss is real-time data, and this is where we come into place. So if someone went to Vodafone.de and searched for Kündigung, which is the German word for cancellation, then this is a high indication that this person wants to cancel the contract soon, probably. And this we will provide in future for them. And of course, also for the other scores, we will check on how can we make the score better with real-time data. And now the last use case we brought today will Jeroen present.
Yeah, so our last use case is customer interaction history. That's the way that we want to collect all touch points from every customer in all our different systems. And for the digital channel, Tealium supports us there that every click, every view, every interaction that he does in our web or in our app with a personalized banner, so we know who the customer is, he sees a banner that is personalized for him, we send that back to the customer interaction history, and this whole history, this huge database of touch points for every user, we use that the AI uses there to calculate again how we can better give that offer also for other channels, for but also back in the digital channel. So based on the whole customer interaction history, we make the offers that we offer, the offers that we give to our customers in the best way possible. Yeah. And this engine is being growing and growing, and due to AI, it is much easier that those calculations take place. Yeah. And the last thing that here is going on is that due to AI, we can be faster. Instead of calculating huge batch processes, it is in real time. It is calculated upon that. You know that he does something. You can change the score. You can change the offer and go to another with another action back to the customer. That are our first use cases where we activate AI. What we want to also do is for takeaways, so four takeaways and 4 takeaways. The first one is learning by doing. What I said already, we are already 5 years working with Tealium CDP and still learning how to get to practical use cases, build practical use cases, and get value from activating based on Tealium, but also getting teams working with our data that we gather from the Tealium systems. Second, now my voice went up. Okay. Second, a fool with a tool is still a fool. I think that's a clear one. A lot of companies buy a CDP and say, hey, that's the holy grail, now we can do a lot of stuff. That's definitely not it. You need a team, a vendor, and a skilled partner to you have that on board to build that ecosystem around the tool. Yeah. So just the tool doesn't solve anything. You need to build things around it. Yeah. And that fits also to the third one. That's getting it done together. Getting it done together is, you need a cross-functional team. So what I said in the beginning also, we have a lot of siloed organizational silos that you can't break. With the right technology, you break the technological silos, but the organizational silos stay, and then you need a cross-functional collaboration. Yeah, get it done together is a wording that also Vodafone uses, but it is really something that we want to give you towards how we try to get AI in the AI area further. Yeah. And the last one, it's easier said than done. Yeah, we're also now talking about it, but also you can talk about it a lot, but just first do things. Yeah, it is from Nike, I believe, but just do it. Yeah. And that's definitely what we done there. I think we never at Vodafone achieved what we already achieved by only talking about it. We just done it, and after that, start talking about it. Yeah. That's what we wanted to give you for takeaway. And as last, we wanted to also still ask you a question, and that we do with a word cloud. And then it's the same QR code, so it's still the same where you also had the 3 questions about Vodafone.
All good? Okay. 1 second, sorry. Yeah. Oops. Sorry. So many screens. Here.
And if you want to go back to the QR code or still have it open, you can fill in what does AI mean for you. Then it will turn up here as a word. You can fill in multiple responses, and let's see what cloud comes up from this audience. We had a nice one from the first session. Almost 30, and I think we're wrapping up. See 10 participants still typing. Yeah, let's wrap up. Yeah, I will thank you from Laura and myself for hearing our story as Vodafone, and I now hand over to Eva, who is going to show you really challenging demos, and really exciting demos.
I love how you guys at Vodafone are operationalizing this at the scale. It is incredible. So Freddie started scaring a little bit about the numbers, right? Then Laura and Jeroen explained you how they did utilize Tealium to create the data layer for context for AI. And now my job is to showcase how the trick and the magic works, how the cooks works. So everyone wants to build Jarvis, right? I love Iron Man. I am a big nerd, so I'm sorry for the jokes. But finally, we end up not creating a Jarvis, but creating a magic 8 ball that is more or less trying to understand what the customer is doing, right? It's not, the difference is not the model. The models, as Freddy was saying, they are smart enough to have knowledge and to understand and to answer, but the main issue and the main bottleneck that we are finding out is on the context and the tools, right? So, two patterns, and I want to think you about this on this way. So we are working at Tealium on 2 different patterns to give the AI context enough. So the first one is like, well, I'm a big Star Wars fan, so the first one is like the Force, right? It's basically the AI agent pulling the information from the customer visitor profile and getting all the visitor profile data in 60 milliseconds or less. This works really well with our MCP technology that we released last year, and this is working really well, especially for use cases such as chatbots, RAG, all these support co-pilots or co-friends that are seeking assistance. The second one is the push, right? So instead of the AI grabbing the information from the visitor profile, we are going to send it only when it makes sense for us to create something. In this case, and what we are going to see in the demo later today is, we are passing the visitor profile when I abandon a website to then create and generate a response. So this works especially well for scoring use cases, classification use cases, and content generation, and we will see that. Let's start, all right, with the part 3, and this is basically where the agents stop getting amnesia and really start understanding how your customers start working for. So I'm going to start with a small example. I saw this, I experienced this myself recently. I was looking for a laptop, and I work on AI, so I am always trying to work and talk with the agents and see what they say, right? So I'm interested in a new laptop, and this case was like, okay, perfect, what is your budget? Well, you already know all this information, right? If you add the Tealium AI layer, what we are going to have is a much more personalized experience with purchase history, website behavior, and all of that. Now I want you to, now I want to ask you, like, who prefers the first answer? And the second? Cool, so we are all on the right room. And this is what, I want to make a bit pause here, because this is important. How chatbots worked in the past, it was more on processing information on a batch way, based on siloed AI systems, grabbing data from non-real-time stuff. With that, we were getting like very generic experiences. The moment MCP, and I will showcase this in a moment, is real-time data streaming of interaction and behavior from multiple touch points of the customer that will be generating a much more personalized intelligence. So we are passing from a really interesting shift here with AI, which is we are passing from rule management, and probably everyone for the last 20 years have been working on the part here of the automation, right? If cart value is over 100 euros and the person came at least 2 minutes on the website, then send an email, right? We are this is evolving very quick, and I think this is important because now with AI, we are starting to give agents the agency. Agency means that we are going to give this specific, for this specific example, well, this is Sarah. She's a VIP customer for the last 4 years. She's now on a churn score, and you need to send her an email, not only an email, but send her a 15% discount so we don't lose the customer. Again, this is the shift from automation to agency, and this is very important because every single interaction to do this and to achieve this, we need 3 things, which was basically recalling what Freddy Berlante was speaking before. We need to understand what it is, so have the memory and understand the customer and understand who is it. What can I do for this customer? So can I send an email? Can I send a call? Can I, don't do anything. Sometimes we don't need to, spam customers. And the third one, the context, right? So if I don't understand, like if I push an email but then I don't have a response, then the agent will never get, will never learn and will never get better responses. So architecture time, I promise I will keep this very interesting, or at least the most interesting I can. Customer interactions, so everyone knows Tealium, right? They flow into the Tealium CDP. We have a customer unified profile with all the information, all the behavioral data, all the cross-device identity, and the consent. What we created last year and what we have been working last year is on getting a specific MCP or standard protocol that is passing all this information on a standardized way. So no matter who you work with, OpenAI, Anthropic, any of those models, we can serve that information directly to the AI, and we can feed this information directly to the AI models. Why should I do this? Well, I can get personalized recommendations, I can get the chatbot answers getting better, I can get the personalized experience improved by this specific generation. But it's not only that. The interesting part, or the interesting bit of Tealium is we can receive the information or the signals from the AI model back into Tealium. So we can actually connect the responses of the chatbot or the recommendations of the chatbot back into Tealium so we can really communicate. For that, what we have been working on is, well, Moments API. Moments API is basically the AI cheat sheet, right? So one visitor ID, I can, with just one visitor ID, and it can be email, phone number, any ID. What we are going to do is the AI is going to grab that information and send all that information about what do we know about the customer. In this case, like, okay, what is the purchase history, but not only information in batch, but also information in real time, such as what I'm browsing in the moment, right? Because I might not, I might be on the website looking for a car, and maybe the recommendation is another. So we are utilizing this to make the AI smarter. I want to do a very quick interactive exercise. What do you think for your companies could be interesting to have as context? So your AIs. Who is working with AI projects at the moment? Can you hold your hands up? Hopefully after this session we'll have double or triple this, right? So quick architecture slide, and I promise this is the last one before the demo. So in the left side, you have 4 data sources, completely disconnected from the other, and every time you create a new agent or a new LLM working, congratulations. So you have just created your own layer of complexity yourself if you are not working with Tealium. So this means that you need to really create and maintain so many integrations. With Tealium in the middle, what we do is we pass that information that is already collected in Tealium into any LLM. So meaning that maintenance of those integrations is lower because actually Tealium works on all these integrations, right? So anyone who has managed a point-to-point integration system knows that spaghetti architecture never works, right? Unless you have a pipe in the middle. And that pipe in the middle is Tealium. So yeah, no more questions. I want to go to the demo. I want to ask for a volunteer. Come on. No? Perfect. So I'm going to do a demo. So I'm very about, I don't want to speak more. I just want you to see it. And actually, yeah, because I want this to be exciting for everyone. What I want is if someone can put their hands up and can, well, what I'm going to do is go through a specific demo. And what I'm going to do is, well, analyze the information, right? So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask, OK, I'm looking for a loan for whatever, and then the LLM is going to provide a specific personalized offer and answer for me, right? So I need someone to start with. 1 second. I don't know why this is. 1 second. So change to the entire screen here. OK. So Well, if you have already worked with Tealium, this is Trace. This is basically where we are going to track all the event information data. And this is our Tealium financial demo site, right? So as you can see here, I have not yet accepted the cookies. So once I accept them, like, I should be getting the events in. Yes. 1 second. Sorry. Yes, correct. So I'm getting the events, perfect. So again, like I'm going to create a new account because this is fairly new to me. I just heard that Tealium Financial has awesome loan options, right? So I'm gonna create one account. And so we make sure that I am not faking anything and this works in real time for sure. Who wants to hands up to propose their name on? No hands up? Then Juan. Juan, I see you there. You are coming from Miami. So, yeah, Juan needs a loan for sure. Juan? Yeah, exactly. Suarez at Tealium.com. I'm just faking this. Well, whatever. I'm just creating an account. So as you know, Tealium is really great at understanding all this behavior and grabbing all these responses in real time. And I think this is very important. So Juan is looking into a new personal loan, right? Because you are not getting paid enough. So how much do you want to? Yeah, for whatever you want. Like I did the test with a Ferrari, but I can do whatever. Okay, perfect. 50,000 at a 3%. How many years? 6 years, right? So I'm grabbing this calculation here, and we can see how, well, first of all, Juan has now an account holder badge already there. We are capturing all the behavior in real time from the loan calculation, and we are going now to utilize this into our AI agent. So if I go back in here and I refresh, and I grab the email, email. So I'm gonna grab Juan's fake email here, and what I'm going to do is, well, this is a chatbot. As you can see here, this is my local host, meaning that it's nothing connected to the website. The website is not connected to this chatbot in this case because it's on my local device. And what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to log in, right?
Thank you for identifying yourself. How can I help you today?
Okay, perfect. So now I have it already integrated here. Juan, you said you wanted a Ferrari or you want a different car? Different car. Which one? Porsche. Okay. So I'm looking for a loan for a Porsche. Okay. And now, if the magic works.
Since your last visit to our personal loan calculator, I see you were exploring a loan amount of $50, GRU dollars over a 6-year term with a 3% interest rate. This could be a great starting point for financing a Porsche. If you'd like, I can provide more details or help adjust the terms to better fit your needs.
Well, I think this is very powerful because we can start grabbing all the information. And it's not we are grabbing the information, it's we are grabbing Juan's product interest to buy a loan, to get a loan for his new Porsche, right? So this is really interesting because we cannot only, get that information, but we can grab the information to then utilize that. So I'm going to continue and say, hey, can you send me more information by email, please? And if it works well, this is the demo moment. Wait.
Got it. We'll send the information about the loan options for your Porsche to your email on file. Is there anything else I can help you with?
All good. I'm going to buy this Porsche, right? So what we can see here, and what is interesting, is that we are grabbing all the information and the chatbot AI response comes back into Tealium, right? So we can see that the AI has itself created this specific event that is creating like, okay, Juan is interested of this loan, he wants an email, he is like the recommended timing, so within 1 hour, action request, all this information, right? Not only that, but we are even able to create the email HTML, the specific test, and the specific offer right in the moment from the combination of the website behavior and the loan that I have been searching, combined with whatever I'm talking on an app or whatever I'm talking on an agent. This can be a phone call as well. So this is really, really powerful because I have all this information here, and it's not only that. As I specifically asked to get an email, what we can see here is I'm pushing the information to a Marketing Cloud. And well, I've been working at Salesforce for a couple. I worked at Salesforce before, so that's why I used Marketing Cloud. But this works with every marketing platform or every connector we have, right? And if this works correctly, and I go to the financial showcase here and I click on records, well, you can see a couple of examples, right? But we can see one here that has a request to send information, get started, and the specific email. How cool is that? How cool it is to create like all these website, app, multi-touch attribution, activation in real time, right? So this is the power of the MCP, right? Let me go back to the slides here. Yeah, 1 second. Extended display, wait, sorry. So, yeah, what just happened is like the customer, in this case Juan, asked for a loan. The model didn't just spit out a generic rate table, right? It pulled all the full profile, that his VIP status, that he's an account holder, that all his risk score, and we are able to personalize the messaging and personalize the email specific for Juan, right? So I think this is a personalized offer triggering, but it can be a call, it can be any kind of connector. And yeah, this is the first demo. So is there any question? I want to, ideas?
Also, could you guys imagine as if we charge interest on event volume? Thought that was funny.
Yes.
Well, I would like to understand better where is the storage in the data? I mean, when you ask to the
AI?
yeah. So where was the data?
In Tealium. So the AI is able to, the AI is calling Tealium to grab the customer information and the visitor profile and the website behavior in real time. So that means 60 milliseconds. That means that we can grab the real-time behavior and pass it over the AI, so the AI can grab the context in real time. Yes?
Following this question, like in the record of Tealium, and how did the MCP choose to store a kind of data in
You can create your own MCPs, and basically you can say, okay, this MCP has this pack of data, and then the AI will be informed, and it will say, okay, what data do I need to grab from the customer? And with that, it will call to the correct engines of Moments API. Yeah?
Yeah, it's a tool exposure protocol. It's how I kind of think of MCP, right? It's exposing all your available tools and what you have kind of within your available data or tech stack.
Yeah.
With these use cases, data minimization is really important for us, but also not having to send all of the data from the customer to the model, but just the attributes that we give in that context.
Yeah.
So that's a big step forward when we think about how we use it.
Correct, and we send it the context not only in parts, but also with the consent. And I think this is extremely important because we can grab different pieces of information and bring that to the AI so it gets better response. Okay, with that, please. Configure this. If you are a customer, I can show you with your own account in 15 minutes in the Genius Bar. So. It is working in real time. That's why I asked James, because it's just to make it more interactive. But it grabs the data in real time, right? So we grab the data in the moment and we can pass it in the moment. We can test it out in the Genius Bar, so please come and see us. Good?
Good? Yeah.
Back to you.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah. Correct. So you, sorry?
It's like you say, it's probably quite difficult to just, I would be surprised if the majority of people in this room have the ability to just pop up to the Genius bar and get that going today without a serious kind of governance.
I would say as long as they have their, like if you're connected with Tealium and you're implemented with, like say Snowflake, Databricks, or one of the like major clouds that we work with, it should be pretty simple. Think of it as more of a clean room, right? It's not us looking at your data. It's very consented and private during the whole process. And even when you think about what we pull back into Tealium, it could be a propensity score on a model or something like that, right? So we're only pulling in the info that matters, that saves on compute as well. But yeah, I mean, go up there and challenge them.
Come to the Genius Bar and challenge me.
Yeah.
I will show you working on your account because the data is there, right? If you have already done the configuration at Tealium, the data is there, and I challenge you to come to the Genius Bar tomorrow, and I can show you on your own account how this works.
All right. We got one more demo, and I know everyone's probably tired at this point. So I'm going to run through a few things, talk about our partner ecosystem, hand it back over to Ava, and we'll open up for more questions. Because what we're talking about here is quite a bit different than API calls, right? So the first thing I want to talk about is our ecosystem. So the thing that makes Tealium very unique and what we're building out here is that we're a context engine that sits in the middle of all of these different tools and different products that you're building within your own stack. We don't want to, also one thing I want to call out under the data cloud side, because it was mentioned in the last one, we do have connections with Azure as well, so we're not cutting them off there, they just didn't fit in the slide. So the partner ecosystem is super important, right? Because we are connected with foundational models, data clouds, vector databases, and agent frameworks. So starting with the foundational models, you'll be able to use Tealium to call out to any of these major LLMs. So the demo that we're going to get into today is also pretty cool if you're on AWS because it's via Bedrock. Bedrock has all of these foundational models that you can just choose, select, and access them really how you want to do it. But on top of that, we're also building direct integrations, right? So there's a few that I'll talk about that are very much live right now. You can go to the Genius Bar, but then we have things coming up. Claude and Anthropic will be one of our next ones. And then on top of that, vector databases, right? So we work with Pinecone, and we're going to be setting that up also as in our outbound connector space, right? So that's your semantic search and your vector database. If you were to take two things and compare it, like I used a train company and a car company, right? There's train cars and there's automobile cars. If you're the train company, you want to make sure anything related to automobile is very far geographically away from anything to do with train, right? Because the vector database works just like the globe. It's all coordinates basically about how close it is to that level of context, which is very important. Because the next piece of that is your agent framework, right? That level of what you're building there and your vectors, they have to, because these things are very expensive also, like vectorizing your data is not cheap. You want to make sure that you are doing it very, very prescriptive. So that way when you're building out your agents, you're only pulling in the right context. And so in the agent frameworks, our other partnerships that we're working with, LangChain is a very big one. They have an observability platform called LangSmith where you can go in and build agents. And a lot of our customers are using that. With that being said, what Ava just talked about, our MCP server can be connected immediately in there. So if you're using any of these tools, you can go into LangSmith right now, connect the Tealium MCP server, and pull in customer profiles into all of your agent builds. So this is a pretty important slide, and I want to expand on it a little more because right here we have collect, enrich, process, and activate. The main piece and the important part is the enrichment piece, right? So we all understand how data moves, we're collecting it, but the enrichment part goes down the stream of all the different things we're pulling in and getting activation back into our system, and it's a constant closed loop, right? So everything we're learning is feeding back into your machine learning models within your cloud data warehouse. We're also taking those things, back into Tealium, activating and learning from this. Because what is the point if your systems can't learn on past behavior, right? You're kind of just building things that don't actually matter for your customers because they don't know your customers. And so the enrichment piece is amazing because what we're doing is we're enriching your signal, right? The most important thing here are these customer signals that we're trying to get to our agents or to our generative AI personalization engines, because it's a stack of almost everything you could possibly want, right? Think about a churn risk score being fed to an agent. That agent can reason with the churn risk score as well as all of your other profile data. As well, you know, any of the, especially what Vodafone mentioned, any of those use cases, basically, right? You can take those scores and everything and pull them back in. That's a hardcore level of context. And then why AI connectors matter. Ava talked about privacy. Privacy is huge. Privacy first and consent, right? If you're working with our platform, you know how much we care about governance. You know how much we care about privacy. That is a massive piece of this. Cost effective at scale. So LLM tokens aren't free. I don't know how many in the room have, you know, blown up their API credits or anything like that trying to build things. But we all know it's very expensive to run compute. And then there's the real-time activation and scoring, right? That's where Tealium really hits it out of the park, because there's no other CDP out there that is doing this, where you can take in your scores and add them to your agent builds or add them across your entire AI ecosystem, right? We don't have any limits of what we can connect to or what we can help you build. And that's why we're offering the AI accelerator, right? Because that is huge. We really need to dig in. Everything is very use case specific. So this might sound like a whole bunch of stuff at once, but again, we need to concentrate on what your number one use case is, and that's what we go to figure out to solve. Our current AI ecosystem, model platform connectors, we have Amazon Bedrock, which Ava will do a demo of, and be mindful of the Wi-Fi, obviously. OpenAI, as I'm sure everyone knows, when ChatGPT blew up the world a few years ago, and then Google Vertex AI, so everything in your Google suite. OpenAI is obviously very specific to OpenAI models, but if you use Amazon Bedrock or Vertex, you can do a model select, right? So if you prefer Claude or you prefer even using OpenAI and Amazon Bedrock or Llama, you can set that up. And this is generally how it works. With some of the other platforms, there are a few other functions and things that you might have to do, and Ava will get into that using Amazon Bedrock as an example. There's a little bit of things that you have to set up in that platform, but if you were to go into our system right now and use OpenAI, you can literally just go chat with ChatGPT, and it'll send you context back into the system. So this is, you know, customer action, data ingested, enriched. You send a ready prompt with Tealium data. The output gets back into Tealium, and that's what you can activate on. What's great about this is it's also good for our non-technical users. Moments API is a little more, because you're doing API requests and there's a little more to it. I don't think it's that hard either, but just this is very much set up for your users who want to write a natural language prompt and not have to worry about anything, right? We're all in marketing. There's a ton of stuff going on all the time, right? Nobody wants to deal with that. So it's nice to just type in like one sentence and get back all the information you need. And use cases, very similar to some of the things Vodafone presented, like churn risk assessment, intent classification, sentiment scoring, product affinity. Out of these use cases, though, in the room, how many people in here are working around one of these use cases, working with a data science team, are a data science team, and using one of these specific sort of things? Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's a lot of like, right? I want to dive into those use cases, where they're kind of sitting in your data warehouses, how you're building on them, and how we can enrich that process, right? Because nobody wants to spend millions of dollars without getting ROI or ROAS. And then Bedrock flow. So this is an example. So input a visitor profile plus products they viewed for each product. AI picks up on the top match a condition checks, and then it'll give you your score back. Ava is going to dive into this like actually deep, so I don't want to go too much into this slide because it actually makes a lot more sense when she does it live. And we got 15 minutes, so I'm going to give it back to her.
So who is familiar with Tealium? I think everyone, right? Hands up? Not everyone. Yeah, nice. Better. Okay, so let me just open a new account, right? So I'm going to go here to financial services, here. Okay, I'm not sharing. 1 second. Up here.
User error.
Yeah, this now it's working. So thank you, Wi-Fi. God of Wi-Fi always, works. Change. So my entire screen. Can you see my screen now? Perfect. So the God of Wi-Fi is working now. I'm here. I just received an event which is basically logged in into the website, checked in for consent, and now we are in London. So as you can understand, we are traveling all the time. So in this case, instead of just creating a loan, what I'm going to do is request request information about a new specific credit card, right? So, well. I'm always traveling, so I'm going to just click here, and what you can see in Tealium is, well, basically we will start receiving and collecting all this information in real time, all this behavior and this credit card interest. As you know, we are collecting all this information in real time, and I'm going to just apply for my new car, right? I have pre-qualified myself, so I'm gonna apply, and I'm going to create a new account. So in this case, I'm going to do Nick Albertini at nick@tealium.demo. Awesome. I'm gonna just write a phone number. I know your password, Nick, so of course, I'm Tealium. Again, like what we are doing is, well, first of all, we are collecting the behavior, but we are now unifying the behavior with this login. So all the information that I have been grabbing, even before the customer was a customer, and this is very important because this can happen over time, right? We are now understanding this, and we are understanding that, in this case, I'm starting to do an application. So all this information is already grabbed in, but what happens, because Nick is a really busy person, he gets interrupted by people on DB, so he needs to log out and somehow abandon the application for this specific credit card. Tealium is going to grab this specific application abandonment with all the information in, and in real time, what we are going to do is we are going to pass this information through the connectors. So in this case, we are passing the information through different connectors, and what we can see is that we are receiving information. So we are receiving a specific information and recommendation, right? So in this case, well, we have completed the account and the engagement. We have even engagement score. We have the for complexity, but we have an immediate action received by the AI model to send an email with this specific information. Not only that, but we are also going to create something that I really enjoy doing, which is, well, we are creating an image. So one of the specific use cases that I was, okay, nice. Where is PowerPoint? Sorry. Okay. I lost my mouse somewhere. Yeah, but no. Okay. So what I'm doing in this case is actually, nice. What?
You want me to just close that window?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Okay, can you see my screen? Well, one of the things I have done is, well, I have generated a personalized image generated, right? So the AI, what it is doing is basically, it is going to pass through, okay, this is why. Okay, so what we are doing here is we are passing all the information, right? All the visitor profile and the information to a prompt to image generator, which is actually generating a specific image and a specific URL and storing it, right? So if I go here and I open the image, this image has been generated because I was clicking like a nerd on the travel points, right? So I'm grabbing the behavior and I'm creating a specific offer. Not only that, sorry, I closed this. Not only that, but I am able also to grab specific unlock your global adventure, travel points, and all of these. And now when Nick comes back to the website the very next day, well, look at that. we have generated an image with a personalized message, and we can provide that in real time into the website, right? So he can go here, click, and finish the application. So actually, we can feed the model back to make it understand that this specific recommendation worked and learn over time. How cool is that? How cool is that we can grab the information, generate new content, and serve it into the customer in real time? I think this is making me, happy every day, or not sleeping every day. But take it as you want, but I think this is the real power of Tealium. We are generating content out of the blue from the behavioral data to create a personalized offer, right? So I hope you enjoyed this part of the demo. Again, I encourage you to go and challenge myself on the Genius Bar tomorrow to showcase you this in live and more detail. Yeah. So again, this is when, how complex can I get? Well, it really depends up to you guys if you want to start with real simple use cases or you want to get more and more complex. The technology is there and Tealium is here to help. So last round of questions before we wrap up. No? Yes?
I think that sometimes we have a kind of fear into delegate an action to AI. So I could hope. I mean, your demo works very good. This time with Wi-Fi.
Yes.
And, you get a very nice title and very nice picture, but how can I be sure that that will happen with my customer, for example?
Well, we do run this at a scale, and what we have is we have all the events triggering, and this is really interesting. And thank you for the question, actually, because this is...
You can technically, you're really building a black box around it. Like you can do rule-based stuff too, right? So
exactly.
you're not just fully counting on GenAI to be right. So it's like you're slowly letting something out of its cage or whatever, right? But you can set rules at first and kind of play around that way, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, something you can see is, well, we have all the connector information here, so we can see how many of those connector integrations are working. You can see 100% of this one is working. Not that many, because this one is the one I use for testing and creating all the connector. But this is cool because we can have all the traceability of which connectors are firing and how. So you can. It depends on how strict you want to be. You can add guardrails and you can make very specific responses. In this case, we are just generating very specific responses. Right? More questions? Don't ask me for credit, ask Jeff Lunsford for credit for AI. But, well, actually, James was asking for some credit for AI, and I have a good news for you guys. We have a specific offer where we are giving for free 3 months of usage of Tealium if you want to work with me and the team of Tealium on creating use cases on AI. So I highly recommend you guys to take this offer. I would take it. I will not sleep probably for the next 3 months, but happy to work with you on specific use cases, on a specific request you have. And yeah, thank you, Patrick, for James for this. And now you have your free your free credits. So thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of DB, and thank you for this session. Who is now ready for AI use cases? Right? Nice.